The following presentation is brought to you through the paid memberships of NotaryStars.com, the only notary training platform and resource library with over 150 hours of training on every loan product under the sun. Together with our sister website, OnlineNotaryPublic.com, which focuses on notaries who are pioneering in remote online notary, we strive to give you a safe place to ask questions, get answers, gain confidence in your notary career, and achieve success without overfabricating the truths about our industry. If you would like to support us, please consider liking this video, subscribing to our channel, sharing this video with a colleague, or becoming a member and trusting us to help you achieve the level of success you desire.
Amazing how country he sounds when he's singing that song. Hey there, notaries and signing agents from across the United States. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Welcome to MGM, also known as Monday General Mentorship, brought to you every Monday except for holidays, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Today is Monday, March 18th, 2024. Beth Hathoot and Ronnie Nickel are here to help you excel. To make this magic happen, please fire up those cameras. We want to see your beautiful faces. And if you have questions or want to share something with your fellow notaries, no sweat. Raise your virtual hand using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. Or if you prefer keyboard combinations, try Alt plus Y if you're on a PC, or Option plus Y if you're on Mac. One quick favor, please follow us on your favorite social media platform. Links will be posted in the chat and available in the replay. We dish out tons of awesome information and bite-sized training nuggets that you don't want to miss. That is all I have, Mr. Mickle, if you want to go ahead and kick us off tonight.
Yep, I just want to ask if you are able to, please turn on your cameras. This is so much easier when we can see your faces. And we are moving into that digital age, you know, as notaries, where we are going to have to be on camera more often. At least here we can filter ourselves, which I am filtered, you know, to HE double hockey sticks and back. I got it all the way up. So if I can do it, you guys can do it. I swear, if you ever meet me in person, you're gonna be like, that's not him. So I want to start tonight off with a little joke. I heard this and I thought this is so true, but do you guys know what the biggest lie we are all telling? Even every single one of you are telling this lie to others and to yourself. Does anybody have any idea what this lie is? We tell it pretty much regularly, once a week, a couple times a month. No? It's, I read the terms and conditions. How many of you just scroll past that, say, yep, I read it, but you really didn't. So I thought that was so funny, because when I read it, I thought that is so true. It is the biggest lie of all time, and we all tell it. Now I know that there are some of you out there that actually do read them, you know, but I don't. Anyways, moving along. I want to start off on a serious note too. First of all, I'm going to post in the chat. I want you guys to know, if you have a petition that needs to be signed in your state for increasing your fees, you can send it to us, send it to contact@notarystars.com or help@notarystars.com, and we'll make sure it gets posted. We're going to start posting these in the chat so you guys can help notaries across the country. Right now, there is a petition that was just added in New York. I know that Virginia had one recently, Arizona has one. And a lot of times notaries think, well, I can't do anything, I don't live in that state, but you're wrong. It's a petition to get things changed. So you can help notaries in other states. And when it's time for you to do a petition in your state, those notaries can turn around and help you. So, and I'll try to post this for the replay as well in the description. Please make sure to assist with those other notaries. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up today before we start asking questions, and I'll say this, if you brought questions, please go ahead and get your hands raised. If you send it on jot form, we've got it down. But if you have a question that you need help with in your notary notary career, or if you have something you need to share with the notary community, please go ahead and get those hands raised. It's better to do it at the top of the hour so we can give you more time if needed than at the later part of the hour. So if you brought questions, go ahead and raise those hands. But I wanted to bring something up. I know a lot of notaries look up to me with what I've done with Unlimited Ink Notary and with what we've done with Notary Stars. And I need to tell you that 50% of my success has been hard work and 50% of my success has been luck. And that is truth. Okay, I'm an extremely lucky and blessed guy to have the business that I have and to be able to help the notary community. Maybe the good Lord put me in this position because he knew that I would be at the top of my company and turn around and help other notaries. But I learn things about myself as a business owner every day. And I want to share this with you because I think it's really important for you to understand. When I started Unlimited Ink Notary, I had no idea that it was going to turn into what it is. Nor did I think Notary Stars was going to become what it has. It has blown even my mind. My aspirations keep getting pushed out and pushed out and pushed out because I didn't know I could get this far. In fact, when I hired Hannah, my first employee, I said, "You'll never get a raise. We'll probably make, maximum 100,000 a year." It was not. I never saw this coming. So with that said, I want to tell you that one thing that I realized about myself as a business owner that I think really works for me, and I just got the words out of my mouth on Friday. There are certain things that as you get to different levels, you're able to articulate. And what I want to articulate to you, and I think this is so important, and I'm looking for more language. So I want to encourage you to follow me on Instagram because I'll be talking about this later tonight. The thing that I need you to know is that what worked for me was not looking for business right now. I realized the way I grew this company, the way that I got so successful was I was never one of the notaries who needed it right now. I was perfectly content and happy with what I had. I took training. I asked for things. I asked escrow officers to go over certain things with me. I dug through forums. But when I set up my business, I set up my website thinking about the future business that it would pull in. When I set up my relationships with walking into title companies, I never asked, "Do you have business for me?" And you guys have heard me say this in different ways, but I have to say that I finally have the language now. I set myself up for future business in everything that I did because I didn't care about the right now. I cared about what was going to happen to me in six months, 6 weeks, a year from now, 2 years from now. If you can get into that mindset and follow me on this journey, I'm going to start bringing that into these meetings as well. And you guys, if you don't follow me on Instagram, I do a lot of good marketing tips just on that platform alone. So I would love for you to interact on there as well. I usually do them a little bit late at night, but if you're following the Notary Stars account, it'll notify you when I'm on. It's like my little late night club. But I just wanted to put that thought into your mind of when you're marketing your business, don't look for business right now. It usually doesn't pan out, and it's kind of upsetting when it doesn't. But if you set yourself up for future business, which I'll be taking a journey on that with you guys, I promise you it works out so much better, and it actually takes a lot of pressure off. Ms. Beth, are you ready to go into questions?
Yep, I am unmuted and ready to go.
Okay, let me read this first one. This one's actually for you. And guys, just as a reminder, get those hands raised, or at any point during the session, you can raise your hand for these questions. Now, this came from Mary, and it says, in seller files, utilities are often overestimated. What is safe to tell clients regarding this? I believe that there are sometimes adjusted at closing if the EO gets the final accurate number, but other times if there's a refund of any overages. This is why I don't read a teleprompter, because I'm bad at it. I know that we can't really say if there are overages or not, but we should be able to give them general procedures. For any overages, do we know whether the title or utility company would issue a refund?
Yeah, short answer is the refund will always come from the person extending the credit, the utility company or title, right? Or not title, but the utility company. But I question why we might think there would be an overage. I mean, if the seller said something at the table that's too much, they're basing it on final bills that they get from the municipality. So not quite sure if they think that they're being overcharged or overbilled, but in the event that they are, that refund will come from the utility company itself, not from title. Title pays whatever that final invoice is.
Thank you, Ms. Beth. We have another question here that's up your alley. It says, let's see, when the sum of major elements in the seller's documents are incorrectly written, example, seller's forwarding address. As a notary, I would not know if his or her forwarding address until I'm at the table. Am I allowed to ask the seller for their forwarding address when I review the documents before sitting at the table?
Yes and no. You don't really need to know before you get to the table. There will be areas in the document that pre-print a forwarding address for the seller, but most often it's a blank line. Give me your forwarding address. So they always have an opportunity to update that. If it's pre-printed, they can correct it. Or fill it in when there's lines. So I don't know that that's going to be as big a problem as you might anticipate it to be, VJ. I wouldn't ask them for their forwarding address over the phone. What do you think, Ronnie?
I'm glad that you asked, because I wanted to put my 2 cents on this. I actually get some complaints sometimes from notaries at Unlimited Ink Notary, and not a part of the Notary Stars community. I understand when you're calling the signers and you need to verify that what their ID is going to read, because you have the documents and you want to make sure that that appointment's going to run smooth. I have heard notaries asking some very invasive questions, and you have to think, this is their first time hearing from you. They are notified in a lot of instances that you are a third-party notary, meaning that they are told that you don't work for the title company, that you are a notary signing agent that's going to bring them documents. Asking too many questions of your signers that could be, considered a little invasive. So you may want to keep it at, just making sure, like, hey, I just want to make sure your ID is current. And if you wouldn't mind pulling that out of your pocket and just reading to me how it appears so I can match it up with the documents to make sure we won't have any problems. And of course, confirming the address of where you're going to sign. I think that would be as much as you want to do. When you go through an entire checklist for the appointments, it's kind of a turnoff before you even get there. Would you agree to that, Ms. Beth?
Totally agree. We don't want to be a stranger calling them on the phone, even though they might have a heads up that we're going to call and confirm the appointment. They're not expecting an inquisition. So I would kind of avoid that for sure.
Can I add one more thing too? I've been meaning to try to find a way to drop this in, and I have to tell you, I tell you guys, I learn something new every day. This goes along the lines, I recently had a business meeting where I had to sign some documents. We changed credit card processors, and they called, and I get out of the house so little, right? And most people who are going to do a signing outside their house want to go somewhere where they like. And the credit card agent said, hey, can you pick somewhere near your home office and I'll meet you there? And I said, sure. So I said, how about Starbucks? Because I don't get to go to Starbucks that often, and I really wanted a Starbucks. So they go, not really. How about we go to the McDonald's next to that Starbucks? And I asked him in the moment, because I thought, well, everybody always says Starbucks and I have to show up. Why are you telling me not Starbucks? And he chose McDonald's. And so he told me, he said, well, Starbucks has a lot of people bustling around. We're going to have some important information to talk about. And there's not going to be enough room on the Starbucks table for us to lay down all of this financial information for you to see the comparisons, to be able to have the meeting and go properly. And I just thought, you just changed my life and a bunch of notaries' lives. Now, I'm not saying if the signer says, no, I really want to meet at Starbucks, to say no, but you can let them know. And here's why I thought this was so important. When I have notaries have an error on an assignment, one of the things that they come back to me with is, well, we were in a Starbucks and it was loud and everybody was talking and there wasn't enough room on the table and I could barely keep things on the table. That just remedied that for me. when they suggest meeting at a Starbucks, just say, hey, you know what? I saw a Wendy's down the street. We're really gonna need a bigger table and a little bit more quieter room. I thought it was brilliant. Miss Beth, what do you think?
Yeah, unless you've got a truck stop sized Starbucks, right? A Wendy's or McDonald's or Burger King or something like that usually has a much quieter dining room and larger tables for sure. Score on all points.
Wonderful. We have a hand raised. We want to make sure to take care of the people that raised their hand as well. Can we get Miss Anissa's question?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Anissa, and unmute and ask your question.
I just wanted to, the previous question, I just wanted to say that I only confirm with the client the information on the confirmation page. The only thing that I ask them is if they have a middle name or initial. And I explained to them the reason that I'm asking is because if the documents come with a middle name or initial, I have to be able to see that on your driver's license. And that has worked well for me because I've had so many documents that had the middle name or initial and the client didn't have it on their license, or their suffix was wrong. They were a junior, but their ID doesn't say junior, but the documents do, or something.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a good one
Yes.
to check on your confirmation call for sure. That's going to save you from driving out there and then having to come back to the hiring party and say, hey, you owe me a trip and a print fee because we weren't able to do this.
Right.
Yep, that's a good practice to be in. I agree. Ronnie, one more hand up for you. This is Felicia from Maryland. Hello, Felicia. I think.
Miss Felicia, you ready?
Yes, let me pull over. I'm driving. But I just came from a signing and came up with a question, and I'm parked now and safe. Came up with a question. This was a HELOC, and the signer previously was making their mortgage payment to ABC lender, okay? And they had the form that said that their servicer was changing. And the form said their current servicer is ABC lender and their new server is ABC lender. And I was confused by that. Have you guys seen that? Is there an explanation for that?
Yeah, sometimes it's the department that it's serviced out of, and those can be in two different cities or two different states. And some of the bigger lenders originate only out of one office and service out of another. So sometimes the address by itself could be different. And even if the address is the same, it's still going to a different department within that mortgage company.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask, because I looked at the addresses and they were the same. So the difference, like you said, is a different department within the mortgage company.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, because that was very confusing to me.
And sometimes they just put them both on there because they're not too brilliant. I was going to say something more derogatory, but I thought I better step back on that one.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm glad I know, because the signer asked me and I had no explanation. I said, but we got a Zoom tonight. I'll find out.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you, Felicia. Another hand going up. Hal brought a question to us
Hello.
last week. He's back again this week. Hi, Hal.
Hello from North Carolina. I have a bad cold though. I just
all
had a
do.
closing about an hour and a half ago, and we're sitting at the table, and the guy, I'm just first name Zachary, and Zachary, and he goes, "My name is Zackary," and I looked on the deed of trust, it's spelled correctly on the deed of trust. On the signature page of the deed of trust, it's incorrect. So I called the title company, and they said, well, the bank sent the wrong name over. So we go through and we change everything. And I don't like that to happen. And I'm wondering, so we initialed and did all of that, and I had to change everything in the doc. I'm wondering if that won't reflect on me, do you think? I mean, I could have asked him when I called, but he was only communicating with me in texting. And I mean, it goes back to what you were saying earlier. I don't know. I mean, had I thought about it, I could have asked him, but it wouldn't have changed anything.
No,
So,
it just creates more work for you for sure, but definitely whenever you get instructions to go ahead and have your borrower or your signer correct the documents, make a note who you spoke with.
yeah,
And try to get it in writing and email the new instructions. Can you send those to me via email? Just in case something happens later and a whole new set of people are looking at those documents, and you might get a phone call saying, what did you do here? Who told you to do that? And you can tell them exactly your
Right.
conversation,
yeah.
right?
Well, I wrote a note to him and I said I was advised to do this because that's what I'm saying. I don't want it to come back on me a month later.
No, it won't. And um, doing this so much with unlimited ink, I know sometimes we like to blame the title company, but a lot of times what happens, and we have this in that video where we talk about the life of a loan here at Notary Stars. They start out and it starts out the lender pulling, their information, and sometimes the lender doesn't ask for their ID. They go buy something over the phone, knowing that it's going to get verified later. So those lenders don't pull the ID, and then they don't send the ID to title. Then title gets the documents, and sometimes title goes by what the lender has told them the name is spelled by. Then they pass the ball to the notary. So that's why we see so many of these. Title documents often can be lined through and changed. Lender documents sometimes cannot. You did the right thing by calling the assigning party, which you should always do to make sure on what direction to take, because some lenders won't allow their documents to be lined through. And that goes back to the lender instructions. And sometimes those are removed from the package before we get it. So we can't see if the lender would accept that or not. Of course, we teach at Notary Stars to learn how to read those lenders instructions, to title, because those are to title. You can usually get the answer on the weekend from the lender instructions, but it won't reflect on you, because it's not, you didn't create the documents. You printed them out, you brought them there. You don't want to make a big deal to the signers about that, saying, hey, I'm just the notary. That goes back to that call confirmation of, I always look at the deed of trust, the vesting and the signature line to make sure they match. And then I ask the signer when I'm confirming the call, can I just confirm with you how your name is spelled on your ID? And I read it off to them. And if I have any discrepancies, but we don't always have that luxury, especially those mobile notaries of us that carry mobile printers or doing last minute signings, don't always have that luxury. And sometimes that part of it's a crapshoot. But you did the right thing by picking up the phone and getting that guidance from the assigning party. And there's no way that could come back on you. You did it
Yeah.
exactly what you should do as a signing agent. A professional signing agent picks up that phone, and you did that. So applause to you.
Yeah, it looks messy, and when they recorded the deed of trust is going to be messy. And my name's on it as the notary.
I know, I feel your pain, Hal. Yep.
I was looking at I was doing some for a piece of property I have, my own thing, and I found something I notarized, 20 years ago. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there I am, So this stuff lives in perpetuity, whatever they call it, in perpetuity. And
it's
you know what I'm saying? It's a tongue twister. But I'm like, that's gonna be there, It's embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, nothing you can do about that, but yeah, at least it didn't record incorrectly. That's really the big part of that. So put your pride aside for just a minute for the bigger picture.
And thank you for bringing another question this week.
Oh, yeah. Well, this has been fun. I've enjoyed this. I've been such a lone ranger for so many years, you know.
Yeah,
It's
Now you
nice to
got to
meet other
pack.
people doing.
that's right. You got to pack.
Oh, went
You
on mute there.
you do have another hand raised, Mr. Mickle. Israel Acuna from right here in Arizona. If you want to go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
All right, I think I just unmuted her. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. So mine's more like a question and how would you guys kind of deal with it? Kind of it's like a situation more than just a question. So I accepted an assignment. I looked at the specific details on it. I didn't feel comfortable doing the assignment myself. I felt like there was a lot more being asked than what was put up front. When you know how you guys get the notifications via text, and then it just says, "Oh, one sheet notarized." But then I got like a laundry list of items in the description of things they wanted me to take pictures of a vehicle. It was like a huge claim, like assignment. I didn't feel comfortable. I've been a notary maybe 3 months now, so it's something that I had not come across with. So I asked to cancel my assignment. Like literally as soon as I read everything and didn't feel comfortable, I was like, hey, can you guys go ahead and just cancel this? So how would you guys handle that? I know like there's only so much I can do from receiving like a very small description up front from the text, as opposed to when I actually accept and can see the full details of it. I just don't want to like get put on a list or get a bad review because I had to cancel something because I did not feel comfortable doing it. I feel like somebody else could have maybe done a better job of handling that situation than me.
So, I'd like to take this one if that's okay, Ms. Beth, because I want to make sure that we give from the signing agent, agency perspective on this. And it's so, you ever heard that saying, Israel, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Mhm.
There are, and I want all notaries to hear this because recently one of the Notary Stars on this call went out, and I'm going to come back to your situation. One of the Notary Stars on this call went out and looked up a company and said, hey, I looked you up and there's tons of terrible reviews that I'd like to return the assignment. And then they went and put a blacklist against that notary.
Oh, wow.
When it's true that that company has terrible reviews against it. And so that was not fair for them to do. And they actually said, we blacklisted this company on Notary Star so that you guys will know. God, I wish I could call them out by names. But if you write back to a signing service, I've had many notaries say, hey, Ronnie, this assignment's not really for me. I didn't really see the full instructions or I didn't read it properly. You guys know at Unlimited Ink, we over instruct on what's going to do. But sometimes when it comes to attorney signings, we have an upload that goes with it. And I don't know if that was one of our attorney clients or not, Mr. Israel, but was it one of ours?
When you say ours, who is ours?
Unlimited Ink Notary.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. So that's probably one of our law firms that we work with. We work with some personal injury attorneys. I've been working with him for several years, and the way that he does is when there's an accident, sometimes he'll have you take pictures of a bicycle or a car or to do the intake form. Those are on the up and up. One of the things that notaries love about them is there's no return to the office. So like if I think you're over in the Avondale-ish area, if I remember from your recent sign up.
Right.
There's no return it back to Tempe. He just needs, good photos of all of the things so that he can start the case. And I would encourage you as a notary to get comfortable with those because a lot of attorneys will hire you to go out and do things like this. And in my marketing course, I actually talk about, diversifying your portfolio and making sure that you're able to handle different types of assignments. If you turned it back to us, there's not going to be a problem on it at all. But other companies may kind of not feel the same way. So you want to read as much as you can, and then if you have to turn it back, just make sure to say, hey, look, I'd love to take the next one, but I'm not really comfortable with this assignment because I don't feel like I could do the best job. And just be honest with them, say, hey, I'm newer. This is the first time I've ever had an assignment like this. I'm gonna learn about this and then I'll be ready for the next one.
Okay.
And just let them know. But if it's my company, nothing's gonna happen to you if you turned it back. We actually appreciate when a notary says, we've had even loan signing agents say, hey, I just started. This file's a little large, you know, I don't think I can do this one. And we'll happily put the right notary on it. It's better for you to be honest, but just remember in other instances, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Okay.
And since you're an Arizona notary, this is the perfect time. Guys, I think we have like a few seats left on the party bus. I'm putting it in the chat. Unlimited Ink and Notary Stars, you get to come meet me, Travis, Beth, Sue Hope from Notary Assist in person. Couple of things, guys. We have a lot of books donated from Bill Soroka, Judy Lawrence. Pretty much everybody in the industry has put something into this bag. And then what most recently, David Carr, who is a white glove notary for Unlimited Ink. He's also a Notary Star. He's never here because he's always working. He's a lender, a realtor. He's done videos for us and a notary. He owns a food truck and he donated all these coupon books for $100 in food coupons to all the most popular food trucks throughout Arizona. So we've got a lot of good giveaways for you. So we'll be doing that on Saturday. So I put that link into the chat for you guys. And if you are an Arizona notary, we would love to see you. It won't let you purchase a ticket if it's sold out, but you have up until Thursday to do it because we got to buy everything for the food and all that stuff and get it on the bus. But thank you for your question today, Israel. I just needed to use your Arizona location to remind everybody about that as well.
I do want to make a quick comment on Israel's situation. Israel, you know, you're going to have to take those orders at least once before you can thoroughly experience what they're asking you to do. From that point, you're going to be able to make a decision whether this is the type of project you want to be assigned to. And I just want to caution you to not make it a habit of turning orders back, because that will get you a reputation really quickly, because there are notaries out there who will jump on those dings and pings that come across on their phone, and they'll jump on it, take that order, and then they'll look at it later. And they're turning back orders right and left. And I'm telling you, that's going to get you a reputation you'll never be able to live down.
Yep. And guys, I do happen to have some behind the scenes knowledge about signing order, adding in an unassign me button. And we have fought with them at Unlimited Ink, because I will tell you, the first time that you unassign yourself without picking up that phone for a good reason, an hour before an assignment, you will be blacklisted so fast that your head will spin. And I'm going to tell you, everybody else out there will do that too. We wanted to put in a 12-hour bar. And here's why I'm so passionate about that, before everybody thinks, oh, he's just talking smack. Amrock tried this. You guys, if you work for Amrock, you know they have the unassigned button, but it won't work 12 hours before the signing, because you have to actually have a very good reason of why you're canceling that appointment. Industry standard has always been, if there's an emergency, you pick up the phone and you talk to the assigning party. People can get into accidents. People's children can get sick. You know, last Saturday, you know, I hate to say this, but one of our Notary Stars, in the middle of the night, her husband passed away. She called, and we were texting at 3 o'clock in the morning. It is our job as signing services to, you know, to manage notaries, and if something happens, explain to the client, and all clients are going to understand. But I will tell you, I see something happening where people, you know, hold an appointment and then unassign themselves. It will start, and we ask for this, it will start counting how many times you have unassigned yourself. And if you are one of those notaries that have a high unassigned rate, you're probably going to back yourself out of getting hired by other companies. So I'm just going to tell you, be very careful when this feature rolls out and reaches notaries. When it does, I don't know. It may already be there, but be very, very careful. You know what Spider-Man says, with great power comes great responsibility. Okay. And Travis and I both agree, if it's there, people will use it. It's just a matter of people getting used to what it's for and how to use it properly. All right, Miss Beth, we have another hand raised. Can we move on to the next question here?
Absolutely. Mr. Stephen from Washington. Go ahead and unmute, Stephen, and ask your question. And thanks for putting your state behind your name. Makes it easier when you ask your questions.
Yes, thank you. You're welcome. Can you hear me?
You betcha.
Okay. I think this is the first time I've actually talked on these meetings. So I just have I guess a question. So it was a HELOC over the weekend, and there was a couple challenges with the documents, and I guess I'm just asking. I don't want to know like what you guys would have done in this situation because I haven't gotten any feedback over it yet. So I get there and the documents. The wife was a non-borrowing spouse and it was the wife, but where she did have to sign the name printed on the documents, it wasn't her name that was on her ID, and it wasn't her legal name anymore, but it was a previous name that she had, I guess. And so at first I was like, okay, I don't know if I can do this because it's two very different names. I don't know that there's nothing, you have no proof to say that this is who you are, but then she said, I went ahead with it anyways, and I had her add the name to the signature affidavit, aka statement, and sign for it. And then on the notarial certificates, I put where it said after the name that was printed on them, which was not her, which was a previous name of hers, I put AKA and then her legal name that was on her ID, and notarized it like that. I don't know if it's going to get be accepted. Does that make sense?
It does, but here's what I'm going to tell you. It depends on title, whether and the bank, right? Because HELOCs are banking products, they're not mortgage products. It's going to depend on the bank whether they're going to accept that type of written in information.
It wasn't a HELOC. I'm sorry, it was a sale.
A sale.
Yeah.
Oh, that's even worse. But for you to add her name to the AKA statement is kind of a hat trick that title does to notaries often. And they tell them, and when we call them, we say, hey, I can't identify this person. You have a maiden name on the documents and her married name's on her driver's license, or vice versa. They'll say, well, just add her name to the AKA statement. So that may help title, and that may help the lender, or in this case, just title if it's a seller package, right? But it doesn't help you identify her. There is nothing in your handbook in the state of Washington that says you can use an AKA affidavit to identify your signer, right?
True.
So the fact that you notarize the signature of somebody you could not identify, you're already in violation of your state regulations. That's my concern for you here. Let's assume that this was a scam. He killed his wife, or she's out of town with the kids. And while she's gone, we won't use the morbid one that he slaughtered his wife, right? We'll just say she's out of town with the kids. This is his girlfriend. And she says, oh, I don't have any ID in that name because that's blah, blah, blah. Whatever that excuse was, now you have assisted this man in defrauding his true wife from the property. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Let's knock on wood. What if could he not count as like a credible witness as to like her identity?
He's a party to the document, so I wouldn't use him at all.
Yeah, that wouldn't work, would it?
Yeah.
Okay, dang it. Okay, well, yeah, I was just wondering what you guys would have done in the situation, and I see why I told him, I said, we might just have to stop the signing, but then I thought about that, and I was like, okay, maybe it'll work. It was on a Sunday too, so of course I couldn't get a hold of anybody. It was the furthest away I've ever driven for a signing. It was a 2.5 hour drive to get there. It was a day, but
oh, you see, well, and listen, when we sit down at that table, Stephen, we want to make it happen, and we become problem solvers, and sometimes our solutions benefit the signer, but kind of put us in jeopardy. So we need to put ourselves as notaries and what our regulations say first, and then look for solutions, and not the other way around.
Absolutely, yeah. I sent an email to the title, and they responded and said that they said that they would get a hold of the lender and see what they say if they need to do a re-sign or not, or redraw, because there was other issues with it too. Like his name was weird on the deed of trust, like it was his name, but the last name was where the middle name is supposed to be, and the first name was where the last name is supposed to be, or something like that. It was different.
We have that happen in Arizona all the time.
Yeah, so that's all I have to say. I'm just wondering what you guys would have done in this situation.
And then Mr. Steve, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'd probably walk away and say, I'm sorry, it's Sunday, we can't resolve these issues today. Let me get hold of my hiring company and just see how they want to handle this, and they'll contact you and let you know, and then just excuse yourself and say, I'm really sorry. Have a nice weekend, what's left of it.
That was my first instinct, and I should have just followed it. But
Yeah.
Don't be hero. Don't be hero.
And then Mr. Steven, I just want to point out with Notary Stars memberships, we do have that after hours and weekend support. And for those of you that are not Notary Star members, I don't want you to abuse it. We don't put the phone number on the website because it is dedicated to those that are members that they can use that for. But don't forget that you can, phone in. And every now and then, guys, if you've been supporting us and we know your name and you're not a member, we are still going to help you. We might remind you that you can use that support. But if you have that phone number, if you've been a previous member, we're always going to take everything into consideration because we want to be able to help the entire notary community. So don't forget that you have a lifeline out there. It's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Like I'll take an email to my college professor for $30,000 or something. Use that opportunity to make that lifeline call or send that lifeline email. It is about helping each other and everything. So if you find yourself not being able to reach your party, we help no matter who you're working with. Okay, guys.
All righty. Thank you, Stephen. Wow, we got another one. Miss Mary from Washington. Go ahead, Mary. Unmute, ask your question.
Okay, so this kind of piggybacks on Israel's assignment. I was wondering about the notary journal because there are sometimes assignments that don't have any notarizations, such as some cash buyers. And like if you're doing an intake for a lawyer, the ones I've done didn't have any notarizations. And I have not put them in my journal, but I did the cash buyer just because it was, I'm doing the same kind of thing as I always do. And then this was a different kind of assignment and I didn't put it in my journal. And I'm thinking, well, now I don't have any documentation other than my notary gadget. And I can put some notes in there. But should they be signing and thumbprinting and I'm uploading their ID, but I didn't write it down. So I'm just curious about like on an intake for a lawyer where you're not doing a notarization for them.
Your journal records notarial acts. And if you're not doing the notarial act, you're not going to put it in there.
Okay.
Only time you have entries that are non-notarial is when you think there's going to be a notarization and it cancels, right? Then you might have to disable that page and make a note. Celicia Young refused to sign because name was spelled incorrectly. But she's had that happen before. Not with her last name, but. So
even for like cash buyers, when there's no notary acts in those?
No, if there's not a notarization, you don't, but all of your accounting should have all of that information. Name, date, address, right?
But it wouldn't have like and I don't think we would need it, but it wouldn't have like their ID number.
No.
Okay, and no need to have that. Okay. And so we can put even notes on, oh, this was an intake or this was a cash buyer in accounting. Okay, that sounds good.
Yep, and that's what I do in my accounting.
And then
put it in classes, whether it's a refi, HELOC, cash buyer, a estate sale, whatever it is, I have all of those classifications.
Okay.
So.
Okay, but if there's notarizations in the assignment, but there's witnesses, I typically put those in my journal. I know I don't have to, but I'm looking at their ID as well.
You're talking about signature witnesses?
Yeah, not credible witness, like a signature witness. Yeah.
Yeah, typically we don't. Florida does. Florida's got some information, but if it's on a loan package, I can't think of a situation where we need to record a witness ID. I will put their names in my additional information section. but I don't ID them. Ronnie, do you recommend that notaries ID their signature witnesses?
So I have always, anybody that's, if I'm notarizing a document, whether it be credible witness, signature witness, anything that's going along with a notarized document, I put it in my journal.
Okay.
Because it's related to the notarized document for me, and I'm too pretty to survive in jail, and so I'm afraid of that. And my journal is like a high school girl's got a crush on the document, and I'm gonna document everything in there that I can, and even cut and paste and put some glitter and everything. So I'm overkill on my notary journal. So I put everything in it.
Thank you.
Felicia's hand's getting tired as well, Mr. Mickle.
Before we go to Miss Felicia, and I hate to do that, there's one good question, and we have only got about 10 minutes left, and this one won't take very long to answer from the job form. Can we get this one in, because I think it's really, really important.
Oh, sure.
Travis and I really wanted to make sure this one got out. This is for remote online notaries, and the question is, can I choose as a RON to always choose biometric instead of KBA? I've had several customers not be able to pass KBA. If not, when the signer fails KBA, can I turn around the same day and use biometrics? Great question. So first of all, when you're using biometrics, you need to make sure that it should always go through KBA first, okay? I know that some of you are gonna say, nope, nope, nope. But actually, KBA is what we all started with. Biometrics is very new. A lot of title companies do not approve the use of biometrics, okay? So when you get a loan signing, you should automatically go through KBA. If they fail, you can offer them biometrics, but they need to do that 24 hours later, okay? You are not allowed to switch platforms and put them through KBA. The rule is nationwide. It's on the whole thing. If they fail KBA, it is a 24-hour lockout. You can't switch platforms. You can't cheat the system. You can't go to another form of identification. They go through KBA first, and if you know that they're going to fail it, you have to ask title, can I use biometrics? It is up to you as the notary. Now, there's a flip side, right? If they're brought to you and they're told, go find your own notary, for these loan documents, you can call the title company if they don't know about it. And I just did one recently. They had no idea. She actually made me physically print the documents and mail them to her, even though she could have just printed out the PDF herself. And she didn't even want the PDF. And I was like, I don't think you understand. This code with a whole bunch of stuff you're going to need if it ever comes to question. Sometimes people don't understand, and they just were like, let me give you a shipping label. And I was like, okay, where's your money? You want to always start with KBA on loan signings, and then let title know if you're going to be using biometrics, unless it comes over and says you can use biometrics, which none of them do. And then for general notary work, you should always try to start with KBA. But if it's just a general form of power of attorney, you can do that however you want to. But when it comes to, work that you're getting from other people, you should start with KBA unless they've given you permission else otherwise. And always look for if it requests a specific platform. For those of you that have multiple, well, I got the kings and queens ears out there. Always look to see if it's requesting a specific platform, and never change to another platform if it requests a specific one unless you get permission. Lots of title companies only have 3, 4, 5 RON platforms approved, and they are not going to add more because underwriters don't like to go through all of that kind of stuff of adding a new platform. So make sure that you're not, that you're looking at this with eagle eyes, but you start with KBA, and biometrics is a secondary choice on loan documents. I just wanted to make sure we got that one in there tonight, Ms. Beth.
There was another one in here on copy certification for a RON. So can you answer that one as well while we're in there? It's out of
Yes.
Florida as well. It says
Yeah.
title company sent me a declaration of authenticity to complete for a RON notarization. When I wrong notarization I completed, but it looks like I'm notarizing my own signature. Can I do this?
So the answer here is what was actually sent to the notary is not a copy certification it was an attestation that they are the ones who performed the notarization and that they were the ones that printed the documents and they can send them off. So it's actually not a notarization, it's an attestation that they actually were the ones who performed the notarization and the documents have not been changed and that these are the documents that were printed out after that was done. And that's very popular in other states. So you want to be very careful when it comes to copy certification. You cannot do this on remote online notarization. That is a product that you cannot offer because in copy certification, well, this may change. It may depend on your state laws, and I'll let Beth correct me on this. So let me back it up. For instance, in Arizona, it says I must make the copies, right? That's what our manual says, Miss Beth.
It does. Mm-hmm.
So therefore, if I'm doing remote online notarization for somebody in Flagstaff that needs a copy certification, I can't do that because I can't make a copy of a passport and say this is a true and correct copy, right? Because I can't make a copy. They can't just send me a copy of it. I'd wonder, and this would be, splitting hairs here, but if someone shipped you their passport, which I would never do, then I could probably make the copy and do the copy certification. I think that may be the law in most states, Miss Beth. Is there any state that says someone just needs to bring you a copy and say that that's the copy?
Yes.
So
yeah, affidavit by document custodian is
okay.
that. But here's where my mind goes when she's asking about this. So that declaration of authenticity that comes from the title company is your attestation that the copy that you're sending them or making available to them is the true document that you completed online. Not to be confused with copy certifications, but there's also for electronic notarizations, there is a process called copy certification of tangible or electronic record certificates. That absolutely is the parallel of a copy certification from paper notarizations to electronic notarizations. So yes, the notary could access that recording, download those documents, and put with it a tangible record copy certification, depending on your state, right?
Correct.
Okay. Felicia. Hi, Felicia. You've been so patient. And guys, thank you so much. You've really blown up the session today. A lot of energy, a lot of questions. We appreciate you very, very deeply. Felicia has been so patient. I want to get to Felicia's question. Do you want to unmute and ask your question, Felicia? We've got just a couple of minutes left here.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
You bet.
Oh, great. Okay. So I had a notary colleague call me today about a power of attorney situation where the principal's ID was expired and they had 2 witnesses available to witness. The question is, can one of the persons witnessing the POA also be a credible witness for the principal whose ID is expired?
Well, technically, yes, but I want you to think of this. I want you to project this into the future. Okay. You're sitting in the witness stand giving testimony in court, and the prosecuting attorney says to you, Felicia, did you not think that there was a reason for 2 witnesses on this document in the first place? That having one of the witnesses also identifying the principal, would you not think there was some kind of collusion there, or would it even raise a eyebrow or a hair on your neck? So anytime I feel like I can't explain something in court, I'm not going to do it.
Great. That was my thought, and she wasn't comfortable with my thought, so I thought this would be a great forum to bring it up in.
I would rather have two totally independent signature
Witnesses.
witnesses so that, and it was the power of attorney, and it probably said that
Exactly.
witness can't have any relationship to the document, probably can't be related by blood or marriage. It depends on what type of certificate or what type of power of attorney it was that he was signing. So yeah, I would have kept those completely separate. Mr. Meckel, your thoughts on this?
I am 100% distracted, which is why I'm off camera, so I cannot assist.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah, that was my thought. And the two witnesses were independent of the document, but the reality of was that the principal didn't have a valid ID to be ID'd with. And she was trying to use what she had, and I said, I don't think that's a good idea. So I'm glad you concurred.
Yeah, I would keep all of those parties totally separated from that situation. I would hate to tell Felicia, you know, this is my husband, but he doesn't have ID. I'm going to be one of the witnesses, and my sister, wink, wink, is going to be one of the witnesses, but I'll verify who this is, and it isn't my husband.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay. All righty. All right. Couple of minutes left, 2 to be exact, Mr. Meckel.
It's sad to say we made it a whole hour, but you know, guys, we've listened to your feedback and we are keeping these at an hour now because you guys know that well, we're trying, but you guys know that we can go 2, 3, 4 hours. But we cannot. Rome wasn't built in a day. So with that said, I'm going to.
Oh, we have a guest here too. I just noticed.
Oh.
We have a guest who needs to pop in for just a couple of minutes here.
Okay, there we go. I made her a co-host and let's get her pinned up.
Raise your hand. There you are.
All right, Miss Dealora, you should be able to unmute yourself there at any moment.
Yep, I did.
There
Hey
you go.
guys, your meeting's about over, so I'll make it short and sweet. But my name's Dealora. I am a health insurance agent that has paired with Ronnie and Beth to help you guys sort through, navigate being self-employed and getting health insurance coverage for yourself and your family. So anytime you have any questions about health coverage, feel free to reach out, even if it's to see if you're on your spouse's plan and it's costing you a lot to be on your spouse's plan, there might be a better option for you there, or maybe pairing a smaller plan to go with your coverage that you currently have, or maybe just a review of whatever you have going on right now to make sure that truly is the best place. So I'm going to leave my contact information in the chat. And if you guys have any health insurance questions, I'm here to help you out.
Thank you, Miss Dealora.
Thanks for having me.
All
It's
right.
always so important, guys, as self-employed notaries, that you have health insurance and that you take care of your health, because otherwise you won't have a business very long, right? If you're sick or injured or bankrupt because you're trying to pay for a car accident injuries, you really need to make sure that you have your health insurance in place.
Yep. All right, everybody. The time has come. I'm going to ask you to turn on those cameras, even if it's only for a minute tonight. We want to wave to those notaries who weren't able to make it tonight that we know we're going to come watch the replay. We want to wave to those future notaries who are going to stumble upon this video and start their careers. We want to wave to ourselves if we come back and watch it. And as those cameras come on, and guys, I want to see some of your faces. I know I see a lot of raw notaries on here, so turn those cameras on for just a minute and you can wave to your brothers and sisters. Miss Beth, how do we say it here at Notary Stars?
Well, first of all, I'll remind you really quickly, don't forget to download and load and save the chat. There's tons of links that we shared with you in there. But remember, guys, we are all in the same storm. We're not all in the same boat. Some of us have yachts, some of us have canoes, and some of us are just dog paddling. So just be kind. Remember to reach back, grab the hand of that notary next to you, and bring them along with you. Show them the way. Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.